Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we give no fuck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yucks, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are two of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers they pluck. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.
Hi, I'm Adam Heath Avitable.
And I'm Sarah.
This is Dating Kinda Sucks, a podcast about dating, sex, and relationships. This week we'll be talking about dealing with the Mullet Conundrum. Enjoy the show.
And hey, YouTube, thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying these videos, be sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any future episodes. And we are back in October, a month late. I know we've been putting out content, but it's been a while since we've sat down and recorded, and we're back to freeballing episodes.
Yeah, we're just
going
out
with
here.
The flow.
Just out here freeballing, yeah, basically. Because we recorded two pretty much in a row, so that we had them while you were gallivanting around Romania and
Ireland.
Right. So so you're back.
Life. We're back, I guess, before things get even crazier with my life again, as I plan to move somewhere. So yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, this is we are a week late. But we might have we'll see what our schedule is going to be like over the next month and a half as Sarah prepares to move, pack up and move from Nashville all the way.
Don't announce it. We're not announcing it.
You're not announcing it.
No, I'm not announcing it. No.
All the way to somewhere.
I'll announce it once I'm already there.
I thought you told people where you were moving. I thought
friends, but not like publicly.
I thought we had. Oh.
No. Said I was looking at a couple of places. But...
Oh, okay. I guess I told a couple of listeners who live in the area to be on the lookout for you, because
I mean, if all works out, if all the places we want to rent fall through, then we're fucked, and we're just gonna stay in Nashville.
Just gonna drive around in circles for a year and just there you go.
Yeah. Anyways, what's new with you?
Oh, not much. The reason we took a week off is most people know that I am in Utah right now. I'm in tiny little rural town, and it is funny. We had I guess not funny per se. There was that hurricane in Florida that was just happened that is devastating people. Apparently, like Fort Myers is still underwater. But people are used to me living in Florida. I have had so many people reach out. Hey, are you okay? How'd your place? Or how'd you wherever you're staying? Just thinking that I still live in Florida, and I had to post something on social media saying, hey, I appreciate the thoughts. I am temporarily living in rural Utah, and we didn't even get any wind here, so it's good. There was somebody's cow got loose, but that was fine. That was announced on the local Facebook page, but they managed to shepherd it back into its corral, and just if anybody doesn't realize this by now, I'm not in Florida anymore.
You've been gone for a year, more than
a year. Yeah, I know. Yeah. People have their lives. Sometimes they don't really realize.
They associate you with Florida, I guess, and me sometimes with Florida, but mostly now Tennessee, I guess. I don't know.
I'm just the Florida man, is what it is, apparently.
You don't want to be that. It's the beard.
Maybe I could be a good version of the Florida man. So how about that? I'll be the fun, positive version of the Florida man, not the guy who goes out. No, actually, I'd be the guy who goes out in the street and paddle boards in there. Not that paddle board, but I'd totally do some of the crazy shit that people do. Have
you done anything crazy during a hurricane?
I had a giant hurricane party. I was in my pool for most of a hurricane once.
Adam, I'm not even fucking surprised. You know what? No, never mind.
Oh yeah, until it really started coming down. We were grilling. We had just booze. It was great.
Well, because everything's closed. No one's going to work, so it's like, what are we gonna do?
Just had a giant hurricane party. It was fantastic. And then by the time that anything really started to hit, we were all so fucked up. Nobody really gave a shit anymore, and so it was fine. That was
hindsight, that could be dangerous, but okay.
Could be, yes, potentially. I am, but yeah, so I'm in Utah. I'm here caretaking for my parents. My parents are getting older, but my mother's also got an illness that is terminal, and so I've been here just making sure she has meals and that my dad has meals too, and cooking and doing all medication management and everything. But things are kind of reaching an end, and so it's been kind of a hectic week as we're trying to prepare for things and get all the it's it's just more bureaucracy too. Like it's funny. Like we got the hospice um, people coming out. The like they come out and actually.
Oh, really? When is that happening?
Well, they already came out. Like it's just, but that's the thing is
Oh.
like I thought it was like so. That's the thing is like you say it like that, and I was like, my mother was actually like, yeah, oh, I'm ready for hospice to come out, and I was like, I thought this meant like some big change, like somehow they like shift her to a hospital bed, and they like, no, they're like, oh, okay, well now you're officially on hospice, which just means like we had this phone call with someone who was like basically talking for a half hour about absolutely nothing. It was just like now this just means that hospice takes care of everything. So we're going to send over a hospice nurse, we send over a social worker, we send over all this and whatever you need. And so then they just sent like a giant box of drugs. Basically, it's just like here's your drugs. If you can't take any more, but we'll take over all your prescriptions. We'll be the ones to issue them. So basically, it just means that she has a new person to talk to if she needs to about anything, and that they're there at a little bit of a quicker time. But it doesn't really mean what I thought either. Like I really thought it just meant like all of a sudden there's going to be a nurse there 24/7, like just kind of like plugging her into machines and making sure, like, but no, she's
Yeah.
still just kind of living her life, and we're all there, and then the nurse is checking in and making sure she doesn't need anything, and that's really all it is. It's just kind of helping her be prepared for when everything does finally end. So it's been very hectic. So I wasn't able to quite get everything ready in time to record, and you had just coming back from
Romania. Yeah, I was
Romania. It
dead.
was you had a terrible airport experience, which I feel like you should share before in a minute as well.
Okay.
And then yeah, and so it was like I was like, hey, can we not record this week? And you're like, okay, good, thank God. Like it was one of those where both of us were just like, yeah, it's not happening. So yeah, so that's where I am right now. So I mean, I'm gonna be in Utah for the foreseeable future anyways. I've even promised my mother I'll stay around and make sure my father doesn't he doesn't know how to cook, so he doesn't know how to do dishes
Take care of
or,
himself.
or do
Yeah.
laundry or anything like that. So I'm gonna stay around and at least make sure he's gonna be settled before I decide what I want to do with my life. But Utah is not gonna be my permanent location. I have decided that.
I can't imagine you would pick
Yeah,
that
like I
anyway.
just I think it's just even if both parents were around forever, I still cannot see staying here in Utah. It's a beautiful place, and I'm gonna stay till at least probably
To
the
visit.
summer. But I just cannot imagine living here. And yeah, it's a fucking weird place, and then the people are fucking weird. Nobody knows how to drive, and yeah, I'm ready to go somewhere that's a little bit more normal, and I don't know where that is, but somewhere.
In the United States, there's a place that's
Yeah,
a
I know.
little bit more
Is there
normal.
somewhere that's more normal? Who knows? So that's what's going on in my life, and yeah. So and yes, you had a terrible experience.
God, I still feel bad about calling you at what 2 in the morning when I landed in Frankfurt, and I was like, "He's awake. I gotta vent to somebody because I'm pissed as fuck and almost caused an
And I don't
international
think I
storm."
was awake. I just think I have your phone. I have you as a favorite, so even on my phone's on do not disturb, your calls come through. I think is what it was. And so yeah, I still. But yes, yeah, you were so upset, and I know you. So
Yo,
why don't you share what
I
happened?
keep forgetting that this happened because now that it's been a week, but so I had to fly from Bucharest, Romania to Frankfurt, Germany to Washington, D.C., and then D.C. to Nashville. So totaling around, let's just say 20 hours of a travel day. So the time I left Bucharest was equivalent to 10 p.m. Nashville time. And then I landed 6 p.m. Nashville time. So I was trying to sleep on the plane, do all that. I took a nap before, but I knew it was going to be challenging. Get to the airport, all is fine. I was blessed with a window seat for the first leg of my flight, and then I had an aisle seat for the 9-hour flight from Frankfurt to Washington, D.C. So I was like, thank God I'm going to sleep so much. And I have my little earplugs and my eye mask, and I'm just going to pass out on this first flight. And my flight was at 6 a.m. So I was up at 3 at the airport because I wasn't going to, with international travel, I wasn't going to risk anything. So I get on the flight and I, sit in the window seat. There's no one so far sitting next to me. And eventually this older German couple strolls in, and as they're putting their bags down, this woman is taking photos of everything, taking selfies with her husband. She's like so excited to fly on this airplane at 6 in the fucking morning. And, I find it a bit obnoxious that she's all over the place taking photos, but, to each their own. In, the next 30 minutes, my ass will be passed out and it won't matter anymore. So we're all locked in. We're, taxiing off. And the rule is that you have to have both of the, all of the windows up when you're taxiing, landing or taking off.
Which I've never heard before, by the way. I've never heard that rule. That's an interesting one. You'd said that, and I've closed mine instantly as soon as I got on my plane before, and I've never had anybody say anything. So I feel
like I've only experienced that in other countries because the US, I don't really notice it as much, but this one, they were adamant of like, keep your windows open. So it's dark outside. It's 6 in the morning. There's not really a sunrise or whatever, but my seat just so happened to have 2 windows. So I had a window right at my shoulder on the left, and then I had a window probably where my knees were right above it.
Right.
So or next to it. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'm just going to close both windows after, takeoff. So the woman is sitting in the middle seat, and then her husband's in the aisle. So it's 3 of us in this row on the one side of the aisle. And as we are taxiing, she is trying to take videos of, the view from the window, which, spoiler alert, there was no fucking view. It was fucking pitch black outside. So she's kind of
how old is this woman, by the way?
She had to be at least in her mid 60s, maybe 70s. I would say 70s, but whatever. I'm being nice, I guess. So she's leaning over me again, 6 in the morning. She's like leaning over me to get the best view of the window so she can take her fucking videos or whatever. And I'm annoyed, but because there's clearly no fucking personal space, but whatever, it's fine. Once we take off, she will stop. So we take off. And, we're flying through the sky, whatever. And there's a little bit of sunrise, nothing else. But she's still like leaning over at the second window by my knees, just trying to take this fucking video. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to reach through my bag now. The seatbelt sign went off or whatever. So I'm going to reach into my bag, grab my eye mask, grab my earplugs, and I'm going to go pass out now. Bye. Goodbye world for the next 2.5 hours. So I have my eye mask on my head. I close the first window. I close the second window, pop my eye mask on, and lay back. Not even 2 seconds later, this woman reaches across my lap and flips the window by my knees open. And I like pull my eye mask up and I look at her like, bro, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? So she says something to me in German, which I don't know any fucking German at all.
Right.
And I don't even know, is no nine? I don't fucking know. I don't know any
Nine.
German. I don't know any German. I should have, damn it. I wish I would have at least said that, but whatever. So she says something to me in German. I'm like, bitch, God damn it. I don't want to get into this argument right now. But when the sun starts seeping through this window, I'm closing this window. So I put my eye mask on, and because she kind of pointed like, well, you have a window here and then you have your eye mask. So keep this window open. And I kind of looked around at the other windows on the plane, and some were up, some were down. There's no fucking rule that you have to leave it open. So I sleep for probably an hour, and lo and behold, the sun starts coming out. So, which wakes me up through the mask anyways. And I'm like, okay, they're serving drinks, whatever. So I take the eye mask off and I close the window. And she was, at the time, she was just playing fucking Candy Crush or some stupid ass game on her phone. She's calm. It's not like she's still taking videos outside of the window or whatever.
Right.
But so I close the window, and immediately she goes to flip it back up. And I'm like, yo, we already fucking did this. We're not doing this again. So I put it down. She flips it up. I put it down. We did this 4 or 5 times. And the last time I just left my fucking hand on the thing and was like, no. You're not fucking flipping this over. I am going to sleep. She lost her fucking this flight, mind you, is quiet as fuck. And she starts yelling at me in German, God knows what, the same thing over and over again. So I'm just sitting there. I'm like, adrenaline rushing, just like, I'm going to lose my shit on this woman. Right. I look at her and I say, I don't understand you. I speak English. Or I said something like, I only speak English. I do not understand you. And she said the same thing in German again. So I just kept my hand there, and she like gets all ruffled, and the woman sitting in front of us says something to her in German, and then she said like switch seats or whatever. So she like tries to switch seats, and I'm just thinking to my fucking self, if you really wanted a window seat that goddamn bad, you should have fucking booked it. And her husband the whole time is just telling her, bitch, back off. Just, I don't know what he's saying, but he, he has the body language of, you should probably chill. And I'm fucking heated. So then she takes out her phone and she starts like, I'm assuming taking photos of me, which LOL, you have to wear a face mask on flights to and from Germany. So I had my face mask and my eye mask on. So I'm like, any photo you get of me, like, good luck recognizing me, whatever, bitch. So she's
until she hears this podcast.
Like
right now, I know.
If she knew English, I'm telling you, if she fucking knew English the whole time and she still bitched at me, that would even make me more livid. So, I have another hour and a half left on this flight, and I can just feel the tension. So I couldn't go back to sleep because the adrenaline was just rushing. And I'm like, I have under my eye mask, I have like a little peep. I'm peeping out just to check on the window to make sure this bitch doesn't touch it. A minute later, she calls the flight attendant by, and they start talking. And I have my eye mask on pretending I'm sleeping, which clearly I'm not. And they're having like a conversation, and she's arguing with the flight attendant. And in my mind, I'm like, haha, you're fucking losing, because the flight attendant's not like waking me up or anything. And so then the flight attendant, like, I hear her say like 1, 2 or whatever to kind of point of like, it's not fair. She has 2 windows. How dare she has them closed? And the flight attendant's basically like, nothing I could do. Bye, and walks away, which pissed off the woman even more. And so I could just feel her energy, even though I couldn't see her because of the eye mask. I could just feel her energy just like tense and pissed off. And I'm just like, fuck you, bitch. Like, this is what you get. Never in my life, like, someone's so fucking entitled to the window seat that they did not book. So, the last 20 minutes of the flight, they say, pull up the blinds for, landing. So I pull up the blinds, and she's right fucking there with her camera to get the best shot of the window. And she's leaning over, and she's in my personal space. So me being fucking me, petty and tired and cranky, I start trying to block her fucking shots because fuck you. And so I'm just trying to make as much space as possible to be in her way. I'm like, ooh, let me look at this window. Let me look out of this window. And she was annoyed, and I'm just like, bitch, I don't fucking care anymore. You mess with me, and no, like, it's my fucking window. Whatever. I was nice for 2 seconds, and I'm like, you got your fucking photo, chill. So the plane lands. And I have obviously a connecting flight. I have 3 hours, so I have enough time, but I don't know what I'm going to experience once I land in Frankfurt. So I'm kind of like, oh, okay, gotta get off this plane. We're we're in the front half of the plane, so obviously we're gonna get off pretty soon. And her and her husband let the rows fucking behind us go and get off the plane before me. And I'm standing there with my fucking backpack.
That petty
oh
bitch.
My God, fuck you. I gotta get off this fucking plane, you bitch. So I I put my backpack on, and I kind of nudge her a little bit where she like looks at me all flustered. I'm like, get the fuck off the plane. So eventually she like goes after 2 rows behind us already left, which pissed me off. And then her and her husband take their sweet ass time and block the, the aisle that we're off the plane now, but she's blocking that walkway into like the terminal. And they're both using their bodies to fucking block me. So I like hit the wall, go around, give them a nasty look, and I'm just like, fuck you, I have beef with Germany now, god damn it, fuck this shit. I was so fucking heated. And then it turns out, so I call you to bitch about the whole thing. I'm just like, am I being like crazy about this? I fucking went like never in my life. The following flight, I had a woman who was like working remotely in Frankfurt or whatever, and she was telling me that German people are pushy, and if they don't get what they want, they're gonna lose their shit. They're not used to people saying no to them. So I was telling her the story. She's like, yo, that woman must have lost her shit because they are not used to that. I was like, yeah, and I'm fucking part German, so I'm not gonna let this bitch win either. And so we were like laughing, and the last flight was good. But anyways, that was my horrific flight back to Oh.
Well, not that this will ever happen again, but here's a great line to know: is "Ich bin ein crazy Amerikaner," and there you go. Just say
I'm
that.
not going to say I'm a crazy American on a
just say that.
flight because then that sounds like some kind of international. I'm not trying to have an international incident though.
You almost had an international incident,
I
Sarah.
know, and I had to. You know how hard it was for me to sit there and go, I do not speak German. I only speak English, and say it calmly. Like I was like, do not lose your fucking cool right now.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, fuck that bitch.
I know you're getting all heated telling the story. Too.
I forgot about it because I just like let it chill, you know. But yeah, I can't believe it.
Well, let's give a shout out to all of our listeners in Germany.
Is that who we're shouting out this
No,
week?
no,
Fuck
no,
me.
they're not on the charts this week, but I just thought I would do that anyways, just for our German listeners. If you know an old couple that recently flew from Romania to Frankfurt and told you a story about an obnoxious white girl that was from America who was wouldn't share her two shades, well, now you know who it is. So,
Yay.
you have a picture of her?
I took a photo of the back of her head,
The
and
back
of
of her head.
course, Roy. I was like texting Roy, and he was like, "Don't cause a scene, but like pull that bitch's hair." I was like, "She doesn't have much hair. She has like a Karen haircut." I was so mad. I was like, "Fuck that bitch!" But
Yeah, I love that he's telling you to pull her hair. Oh, well, that's fantastic. Well, we're welcome back to the crazy United States, anyways, where travel's just as insane anyway as well.
I've never been more happy to be home after that entire travel day, though. So I'm
Yeah.
like, stay put for as long as you can because I don't want to deal with that again.
Right, and then we'll cut forward to another month and a half where there's like, I'm going to blah blah blah, like she's got a
Yeah,
brand new
true.
place. I do want to give a shout out to the countries where we have recently popped up on their the top of their charts, and thanks to Apple Podcasts. And we have a different group this time. It's funny, sometimes we have like the repetitive where it looks like sounds like somebody's binge listening to like every episode we've ever done. There's a new group, but India, where we've become all of a
Okay.
sudden popular in India, and Indonesia. I think those two are very new.
Yeah, those are.
And then the Dominican Republic and Uganda. Uganda's been on there a bit, so I think I'm not surprised about that one. But the other three were interesting. So I want to give a shout out to all of our listeners in India, Indonesia, the Dominican Republic, and Uganda,
And not Germany. No.
still Germany. And
Still
if you find that woman, just give her a smack. So yes, thank you very much, and that's just an insane story. What we're going to do now is we are going to round out this third of the show with another call to our DKS hotline. If you don't know, the DKS hotline is 407-519-0181. And you can call and leave. It's just a voicemail line, like a mailbox. You could just call and leave any type of voicemail about questions about dating, sex, relationships, anything like that. And we have a call from someone named Jacob. And so let's go ahead and listen to his call.
My question is, how do I stop myself from dumping my feelings all at once? Because that's something I do too much. And you guys talked about in the perspective of a victim who gets feeling dumped on him or on her. And my question would be, how do I deal with it as how do I call it? As someone who does it, I want to stop doing this toxic trait, but I can't help it. But because I feel like I need to. It sounds stupid, but I feel like I have the urge to dump my feelings on my partner, even though now I know it's very toxic.
Well, thank you so much, Jacob, for calling, and we just really appreciate you recognizing the toxic trait. It is going to take time, and you're not going to be able to reverse traits like this overnight. So just keep that in mind as you're trying to work on yourself and be better. My piece of advice is to just be honest. What do you know? Communication and being honest, right? Be honest with your partner that you have a tendency to dump your feelings. And if you're truly working on improving that, which it sounds like you are, tell them that and say, let me know when I cross the line. Let's set healthy boundaries and communicate that with your partner so that they know. there, outside of just communicating with your partner about that, I would say seek professional help depending on how severe the is it trauma dump? I would say trauma dumping or just like
Yeah, I mean,
dumping would
yeah,
be.
yeah, I would say. I mean, it's kind of trauma dumping. It is kind of like
Yeah.
it's just unloading on your partner.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't want to say trauma dumping, but I'm just like, just dumping like your feelings when you always
Right.
just whatever. I think journaling those feelings and thinking them through to yourself first would be helpful. And then if it's pretty severe, I would say seek professional advice and talk to a third party person. I always, and I've not in a toxic way, but like I've sometimes go through stuff where I really need to tell my friends and things like that. And I think, how do my friends feel? Like I've constantly been talking about myself and I've constantly been just dumping things on them. How would I feel if someone did that to me? Would I feel emotionally exhausted and drained? That's not fair to them that I'm making them feel that way. So check yourself in those ways too.
Yeah, I think that there's. I agree with Sarah mostly with that. And I think Sarah can identify with that because I think there are certain personality types who that's how they kind of share with their friends and then they share with people like that matter is they have like sometimes something important that they just need to like it is just kind of an unloading. They need someone to kind of be there, but it's also the reciprocation that are you also listening when your partner needs to share? Are you encouraging them to talk? Is it only you sharing your feelings because that's when it becomes toxic. It also becomes toxic is if that's your only avenue to ever share anything that's bad, and if you don't have a way to otherwise express yourself, and then yes, I would say therapy is actually very important in these situations, especially for a lot of men. And you said that you still want to do this even though now that it's toxic, it's still like this, you have this need to kind of share. Well, your partner is not your therapist. Your partner is someone with their own issues and their own problems, and they're not going to be able to fix your problems. So there's someone that you want to be able to talk to and say, oh, I'm feeling this way, X, Y, and Z, and be able to share with them and listen to them and back and forth. And also do this in small doses. This is something where if you hold it all in and then all of a sudden you unload, it's like when you have a fight. If you're feeling kind of upset about things and you just hold it, and then you finally explode on the person, that's not fair to your partner. It's the same thing with other feelings. I mean, anger is a feeling, but it's the same with the other feelings. If you just hold it in until you just need to unload, that's not fair to them. So try sharing in smaller doses. But definitely, I would consider counseling, consider one of those even online places that you can at least talk through things. And yeah, and as Sarah said, journaling, just if you have a creative ways to process things, if you have friends, you can also talk with your friends too, but try not to put the burden on your partner's shoulders to fix you, because that's when you are now turning your partner into your therapist, and that's not a healthy relationship.
So my friends and I have gotten into a good flow of asking, like if I need to vent or whatever, she'll say, do you want me to listen? Do you want me to give advice? Or I forget the other, but there's like three options of like, do you want me to just listen to you vent? Do you want me to give you a solution or whatever? And I think if you are wanting to vent or dump on a partner, one, obviously check yourself first. But if you're just like wanting to tell them something, say, hey, I kind of need to vent about this. Are you in like the mental space to accept this venting too?
Right.
And ask before you do it instead of just doing it.
Yep, absolutely. I agree. Yeah, and that is a good way to do it. Sometimes is like, do you want me to fix this? Like you're for your partner too, or whatever is. Do you want me to fix this? Do you want me to listen? How can I support you in what you're sharing with me? Is it something you just need to get off your chest? And a lot of times, and that's the thing is sometimes when people just need to get stuff off their chest, it doesn't really matter who they're telling. So
that's so true.
Sometimes it needs to get it out there, which is where a lot of therapy comes in too, is because your therapist is used to hearing this, but they don't take it personally. But if all of a sudden you're just like, exploding on your partner also knows that it doesn't have to be them that you're sharing with. And so it's also not, it's not like, because you're my partner, I need to share with you. It's just because I need to share.
Because you're the closest person around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're here. They could be talking to a wall sometimes and it'd be fine. So, but it is good on you for recognizing that it's that it is a behavior that can be toxic and working towards it. And I hope to hear that you're able to try to channel that into something a little healthier.
Yeah, I echo that same thought that Adam had. And thank you so much for calling again. It really is a big step to just be vulnerable and put yourself out there and ask ways to improve.
Yep. So thank you for the call, Jacob. And once again, if you have any questions about sex, dating, relationships, anything like that, you can call and leave a voicemail at 407-519-0181. Don't you wish we had a little jingle for that?
Every time I think of one, but
407. Yeah, I know.
every time I'm like moving my body like there's a jingle.
All right. Well, we are going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to have What to See with Sarah G in Dublin, Ireland.
Oh
Exciting.
boy. Woohoo. Like Adam had mentioned, I've been doing a lot of traveling in the past month. Not only was I in Romania, but I was in Ireland. And you know what? Let's just talk about my travels. So this week, let's explore Dublin, Ireland. Dublin is a city known for its pub culture and obviously a Guinness or two. And I do have to say, actually, Guinness tastes better in Ireland. I don't know if it's the water, but I'm not really a beer drinker or a Guinness type of girl. I drink it on like, St. Patrick's Day.
That
but
sounds like people who say that pizza and bagels taste better in New York.
maybe they fucking do. I don't know.
Okay.
Do they? Well, I'm just saying, I think it tastes better in Ireland. But okay, besides that, let's talk about what to do and where to stay when you're in Dublin. From what I experienced, the dining out and just tickets to events and things like that are actually pretty reasonable, but the hotel accommodations were more expensive than I expected. So if you're trying to save some money, you can choose the hostel approach or find a cost-effective Airbnb. But I didn't really find a lot of good options, and I'm not really a hostel type of gal. So I went the hotel route, and I suggest looking at hotels if you're in the hotel chain vibe to look at the Dean or Zanzibar Lock or Trinity City Hotel. All are located in really good areas and they were nice. Now, for what to do, I kind of stumbled on Dublin Castle, and I think it's a must when you visit Dublin. You get a great perspective of the history of the city, and it was just a nice tour. So I found out from the tour that the city was founded by Vikings in 841 AD and originates from the name Blackpool or Dublin. So that's where Dublin gets its name. Definitely opt for the guided tour and pay a few extra dollars. You'll get access to a pretty historic cathedral that's closed off, and you'll just learn more about Ireland's history. Like, fun fact, did you know, Adam, that the symbol of Ireland is the Irish harp, and Guinness has that in their logo, but they had it in their logo first. So, and the country of Ireland wanted it as well. So to solve that issue, Ireland just flipped the soundboard. So now both the country and Guinness can use the harp in their logos.
Interesting, but so Guinness existed before Ireland existed?
Before they had actually put a no, Guinness no.
Like,
but I'm saying
wow.
they didn't Guinness is old as hell.
Holy shit. Yeah, okay.
They didn't have a logo yet and they wanted to use the harp, and then they're like, shit, Guinness already has it. How do we fix this? So I didn't notice it until after that tour, and then I was drinking Guinness. So I was like, oh, I'm glad. Fun fact.
Interesting.
So yeah. Speaking of Guinness, you can't miss the Guinness Factory Tour. It's actually the #1 tourist attraction in the country. When you land at the airport, you'll see all the signs for everything. So they want you to go there. And it's definitely worth it. Be sure to grab your tickets online to avoid any crowds. And then after the tour, you can head up to the Gravity Bar. It has 360-degree views of the city, especially nice on a sunny day. And then with your ticket, it includes a free Guinness. Fun fact again. Dublin is actually pretty walkable, so you really can't go wrong walking down the streets and enjoying the architecture. Be sure to take a stroll down Grafton Street. If you listen to Ed Sheeran, he's mentioned Grafton Street. I know you don't, but maybe, no? Okay, that's what I thought. So walk down Grafton Street to enjoy the entertainment, or you can walk around the Temple Bar district to check out a couple of pubs. I will say the Temple Bar area is a little bit touristy. There are a lot of Americans in the pubs, but it can still be fun. They definitely keep the spirit of Ireland alive in all of those pubs. When you're in the area too, be sure to stop by Trinity College. You can see the Book of Kells and the impressive library that they have. And if you have additional time, I don't know if you have more than 1 or 2 days in Dublin, you can stop by St. Patrick's Cathedral. The architecture on the outside is really beautiful, and it's like €8 to tour it inside, which is worth it as well. I already mentioned that Guinness tastes better in Ireland, but as far as food is concerned, couple of recommendations. If you're looking for fish and chips, there's a place called Fish Shop that has some delicious fish and chips. The Church Bar and Restaurant, it is a church that's converted now into a restaurant, and it's really cool vibes. The food was okay, the drinks were good, but I definitely think it's worth checking out. Or you can also treat yourself to dinner at the Piglet Wine Bar, which was probably my favorite meal in Ireland. If you do have some extra time in Dublin, be sure to also check out some traditional Irish step dancing, or you can visit the Jameson Distillery. There's also, I think there's like a leprechaun museum. It seemed a little cheesy for me, but you can do that too if you're interested. And that's what to see in Dublin, Ireland.
Leprechaun Museum sounds interesting. That's one thing I would be interested in. You didn't go to that. I wanted to see what they
It
have
was
there.
like $20. I was not doing that.
$20.
It was. I think it was more expensive than Guinness.
Fly to fucking Ireland, and it's like I can't pay $20 for a museum.
Leprechauns aren't fucking real.
People in Ireland think they are.
So funny enough, actually, in Romania, when we were in Transylvania, the tour guide was like, Ireland gets fucking leprechauns and shit, but we get werewolves and vampires and shit that'll kill you. He's like, but the ones in the magical fantasy creatures in Ireland are so nice and friendly.
Although I think the Ireland, the leprechauns are actually supposed to be pretty dangerous in Ireland. Just like in Iceland, they have the fairies that they have that if you're not supposed to, like, I think it's a country, like a federal law, that you're not supposed to disturb the little fairy holes and stuff that they have set up and everything.
What?
So, yeah,
that's a thing.
Yeah, it's actually a thing. Yeah, because apparently they're kind of dangerous. And if you've ever watched Eurovision, they kind of come into play.
Eurovision or Euro Trip?
Eurovision, the Will Ferrell thing about the musical.
Oh, okay.
Contest.
I haven't seen that. I've only seen Euro Trip, and I didn't remember that part. So
yeah. But so fish and chips, you were good. One thing you mentioned to me, which I think is really interesting, is that you thought it was pretty interesting how Irish pubs in the U.S. actually do feel very similar to the ones in Ireland.
We do, like, America does a really good job of copy and pasting the Irish bars into the US. And so it was weird to me because I really like to feel the culture of a new country and everything. And I literally caught myself going, this feels like that Irish bar in Orlando. This feels like that Irish bar that I've been to. It was very weird.
Right. Now I have been to Irish bars with my Irish friend who's a comedian who's actually from Ireland. And he what he always laughs at is the menu options, because the menus are still different. Like, it might have the vibe, but like I feel like every Irish pub in America has a thing that they call like Irish nachos or something, which are like,
oh God,
potato chips with like cheese and like, it's just some weird concoction that they make up. But I imagine the food has probably got to be different. At the Irish pubs, but I love that the atmosphere is still the same. It's really interesting.
Copy paste. Yeah, I was very shocked. I was expecting it to be like on like even more than what I've experienced in the US, but it was exactly the same.
Just like if you go to Mexico and you go to a restaurant there and you go to a Mexican restaurant.
Not at all.
Or just like if you go to Australia and you go to Outback.
Yeah, right. Shrimp on the barbie.
Yeah, right, exactly. No, can we do that again? What
the fuck did I just say that?
I know. Please, will you do your Australian accent again?
No, fuck you.
Come on, I want to hear shrimp on the what now?
Shrimp on the barbie. I know I don't have I've never had good accents, okay?
I know, but that was awesome. Did you find yourself talking in a little more of a lilting accent just from speaking to people in Ireland?
Not at all. No.
Really? Okay, because I find that might be a thing sometimes, because I feel like there's a little bit more of a rhythmic way that they speak English, like where the things kind of end in a question, like even when they're not really ending in a question. And so I just didn't know if that you found yourself like absorbing that at all.
No, honestly, like I liked Ireland, but I don't know, to be real, I don't know if I would go back because it was just so similar to what I had experienced back in the US. So I'm like, I mean, it was beautiful and I appreciate the trip, but I'm like, I feel the same way about the UK too. Like,
which is for me the opposite. Like, I'd want to go somewhere where I feel comfortable and familiar automatically. and I'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a bar. I can go in there. Like, oh, this is food that I recognize. Like those things would like be, but you like to
I like the
experience
very
weird
different
shit.
culture.
You're
Yeah.
like, what the fuck did I just eat and order? I don't even know.
It's kind
Like,
of fun for me versus like I know what I'm gonna get when I order again. You know what I mean? When I
right.
order a Guinness or fish and chips or whatever.
Well, maybe if you checked out the Leprechaun Museum, your opinion would have changed.
You're right. That was
You
a
never
fuck up
know.
on my part. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to get into the topic, and we're going to explain what we mean
What
by
is
the mullet conundrum. So, why are we calling this episode the mullet conundrum?
It's a conundrum.
It is a conundrum. No, yes. Basically, because we were talking about a very specific situation involving a mullet, and that involved Sarah's boyfriend.
Good old
And
Roy.
good
Yeah.
old Roy, who, while Sarah was gone for a month, decided to grow his hair and shape it and have it cut into a mullet. And so we were discussing, like, what do you do in those situations if someone does something like superficially with their appearance that you are either horrified by, or you don't like, or you're just not
Just
a
not your
fan of?
taste. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
not
just
really.
something like that. Like, what is the proper protocol? And because you really want to be, you want to be respectful of your partner's choices, do whatever the fuck they want to themselves, but at the same time, you don't want to be embarrassed to walk in public with them, and so you have to kind of, so it's a conundrum. So we've come
The
up with
mullet conundrum.
the
We
mullet
coined the term.
conundrum. Yes.
Well, so to be fair, I did know that Roy was eventually going to cut his hair into a mullet because he wanted to have it for Halloween. And so he's been growing his hair out since the beginning of the pandemic. And then he said, Halloween 2022, I'm going to have a mullet. And I said, okay, whatever. So when he picked me up from the airport, I noticed his hair was down, which he always wears his hair up. And I noticed his hair was down and it looked different. And then I got in the car. He's like, do you notice anything? And I looked, I was like, no fucking way, you actually got it cut. And he wanted to be a surprise because he thought it would be really funny, which it was. Now, is it my favorite hairstyle that he's ever had? No, but I think it's funny and he enjoys it. So I enjoy that he enjoys it and it makes him happy for the time being. It's just one of those of I've cut my hair. Remember when I first cut my hair super short and I would hear from men of, oh, I liked your hair better when it was longer. And my response was, well, not fucking growing back anytime soon. I'm not going to change it. So tough fucking shit,
Right.
It's one of those of you can't change it. And I personally like it. So why is there an argument about something that I chose to do to my body that I'm okay with? And it's hard because you want your partner in some aspects to maybe this was like a younger version of myself of to look a certain way, to have a certain hairstyle. Like I have a quote unquote type, and really that's just you boxing yourself in and limiting yourself and all that. But I never had on my list fuck a guy with a mullet before I fucked a guy with a mullet. You know what I mean?
Fuck a guy with a mullet.
Check.
I hope he wore the wraparound sunglasses when he did, by the way.
He hasn't done that yet. No, so he's fully committed to the look. I mean, cut off jeans. He's gonna wear the douchebag tank. He already bought the douchebag sunglasses. He's got the bullets on the side, that are shaved in. He's 100% committed, and he wants to grow the stash too. It's a look, and I just have to. He's enjoying it, so it's like, why would I argue with him about something that's like his choice and he is happy?
Right. And so yeah, I would say that there is a difference between a random person that you match with on a dating app saying, or just a random guy in public being like, I like you with short hair, or you'd look better with long hair, or whatever.
Yeah, fuck
because
those guys.
Their opinion, there's no reason for their opinion to have any value whatsoever because, they are not in any way attached to you. Having a partner that you're dating, especially in a committed relationship with, I do wonder if there's a little bit of should you ever consult? Right now, if he really likes your hair the length it is, and you decide you want to go that short again, would you mention it to him to see what he says about it?
So I actually did this because I'm considering either I'm at the stage of do I grow it out back to where
you're
it
gonna
was?
Get a mullet too. You're gonna be mullet twins?
Definitely getting a mullet for sure. Then it'll be the mullet conundrum for him. But so I did say, I'm considering getting, what hairstyle, because he's only really seen me with shorter hair. Do you like my hair at this length? And he said, I do, but I support whatever you decide. You know, I'm still gonna love you whether you have short hair or long hair. He's like, but I do prefer this look on you.
Right.
And that's kind of how I feel about when he had shorter hair, like when it was long. Like I prefer those two styles, but you still look like the
How do
guy.
you really feel about the mullet?
How do I really feel? Silence. Not my favorite. But you know,
I mean, I feel like you had stronger words for that the other day.
Well, that's because I was mad at him that one day too, when I was just like being mean.
It's true. You were being
so
mean. You were venting, which is okay.
I was venting.
But I feel like I heard the words "I fucking hate the mullet" come out of your mouth.
Well, again, because that's what I was super angry. And look,
Right.
it's not going to be a forever hairstyle, and it is what it like. I had the same issue when we met and we were early on dating, and he started growing out his hair. And so I'm just telling myself, like, I was there for the growing out process. I was there for the mullet. Like, it's been a journey, and like it doesn't
Right,
change my love
right.
for him at all. And it's his hair, and he can do what he wants.
I think that's what makes it is that's what makes this actually a weird conundrum, because yes, you want to respect your partner's autonomy to do things, but sometimes you just don't want to look at someone like and either be just like, oh, I really just hate that look on you, like you don't want that.
Yeah.
And it can happen, and then you have to wonder, like, are you shallow? Like, is that what it is? Like, are you is it something where you're being shallow? I had my ex-wife, I remember one time, cut her hair, and she like got it cut really short, and it looked terrible in my opinion. I just like it, and
But
it
did
just,
she love it?
well, I think she liked it. I think I'm actually, I don't remember her like her version of it or her perspective on it. I remember liking her longer hair, and then she went to the stylist and came home with all of a sudden like a Golden Girls Rue McClanahan like hairstyle, or it was like that short, like kind of, this was in the like early 2000s, so it was like kind of I feel like maybe late 90s, so maybe that was like a thing, that was a style, but to me it was, I would look at it and I was just like, I don't know. I like long hair, so like that's a thing that I like. It is not the only thing. So I mean, I supported it, and eventually I think it changed. But like for a while, I was like, I just don't like her hair. I just don't. I don't find like it's not that I don't find her attractive. I just don't like that part of her. Like I'm just like covering her. Like
You're just like, I wish you would have left it.
I wish you would have left it. You want to put a hat on and go out, or whatever. But it just, and I felt you do feel bad about it.
Yeah. Well, the difference is for me is that I know this is only going to last for a month or two, and then it's going to go back to his short hair again. He wants a new state ID with the mullet.
With the mullet.
And then that's it. He said after Halloween he was going to cut it.
He's going to get so much. He's going to love the driver's license so much.
My brother
I'm keeping this forever.
My brother's so excited to see him with a mullet. He's like, he's not invited to my house unless he has a mullet. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's just like a certain type of guy thing of like mullets are super cool, and he finds it fun. Like I said, he finds it funny and he enjoys it. But my cousin had the same thing. Her fiance for their engagement photos had a full-on handlebar mustache and a mullet, and they took photos like that. And I remember seeing the photos going, holy shit, she let him keep the mullet in these photos. And I called her, she goes, look, it makes him happy, but he's shaving it off before the wedding. This is like his thing that he gets to ride out until right before the wedding. I was like, okay, that's fair. She's like, he knows it's not forever either, and he just thinks it's fun for now.
Right. And so that's it's interesting, right? So like what kind of gives us these things where we can be like, okay, we can dictate how somebody else is going to look like at a wedding. What if he wanted to keep a mustache for the wedding because he started to realize he liked it? I mean, I'm just saying, it's one of those things.
You can't really like fight them on that though, because it's like it's their fucking body, and they like it. So you just have to be supportive over it and go, okay, this is what my partner likes, and I'm gonna still love them no matter how they look because I love them, and that's just kind of how it is. So it's not a bad thing.
No, but let's talk about maybe the flip side of it, where there are I would say generally men who are controlling, and they won't even allow, like they have such a specific like type of person that they want to be in a relationship with, that I've seen this on Reddit where someone's like, my girlfriend had long blonde hair and she wants to dye the tips purple or whatever, and I want to break up with her, or she cut her hair and I want to break up with her, things like that. And I feel like there's been episodes of sitcoms about that where like someone does
Yeah.
something, but where there is that aspect where expressing your opinion to the point that you're controlling your partner and making them think that their relationship's going to end if they do any cosmetic changes to themselves is extremely toxic.
Oh, and it's like terrifying to be like, wow, I can't even be myself and just experience. Like, that's part of the fun, right? What if you were dating someone seriously and they said, I'm going to break up with you if you dye your beard another color?
Yeah,
Or
I mean, that wouldn't
you don't
even
keep your
last
beard.
in the yeah.
Right. But if you
Right.
feel manipulated by that person and you've been in a long-term relationship, you're worried about, all the time you spent with that person of like, well, then I won't do it because it's what makes him happy.
Right.
And then you're never making yourself happy. So that's the reason why it's like when a partner is wanting to try and experiment with new hairstyles or whatever, it's like it's up to you. You can't limit them and say, well, I'm not going to find that attractive anymore, so don't do it or I'm going to break up. Like a fucking ultimatum for what? Who does that benefit?
So let's take it a step beyond that. Now, what if it's not a hairstyle? What if it's somebody who, I don't know, they get a face tattoo
Or a boob job?
or a boob job? Yeah, let's say like something that's a little bit more permanent and a little bit more appearance changing, and then not necessarily something that is going to be, like shift with time.
Right. I mean, I think the only the only time you really get to say anything about it is before. So before, if they're talking to you about, hey, I'd like to do this or whatever, I think you as a partner, if that's not your thing, you just reassure them of like, look, I'm, good for you. If you've decided that's what you want, I'm still going to love you
Right.
no matter what. I think you're beautiful just the way you are, yada, yada. And they either, you don't force them saying you're going to look terrible with that after that procedure, or whatever. You just say like, look, I think you look great now. And, if you want to do that, I'll support you. But just know, I find you great now.
But that's what I'm asking. Do you think you have to support them in that case, or is that still you being shallow? If, for example, like somebody, let's say they get a face tattoo, is a perfect example. And I'm not talking like they get a little star tattooed next to their eye or a
Like
little
full on.
but like a half of a, like it just, or like, like Mike Tyson did, like it's just like the giant symbol on the side of his face. Something that's just indelible and there. Is that something, as if you're dating someone who has a ton of tattoos, then it might not really be a big deal,
Right,
because
yeah.
like it's just a little bit of like creep up their body into different spots, and you're like, okay, that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
if I and I think I used to have a different opinion about it. I used to be very anti, like if someone had like a neck tattoo, I didn't find it attractive, and so I wouldn't even be interested in something like that. And if they were to just all of a sudden get a face tattoo, that would be like just over the line. Now I think it would just depend on the person. If it was something I was like, oh, what if you want to, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think that would be a shallow reason then at that point to be like, I don't want to date someone with a face tattoo, or I don't want to date someone who has fake boobs?
I think it is shallow, especially if you've been with that person for a long time and then you say, I don't want to date you anymore because you have that. It's like, but everything else in your relationship is great. And that's going to be the deciding factor.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's like
That's
if
what I'm
you
saying.
gain,
That's why this is a conundrum.
yeah.
Is it?
Well,
I
it's
think
like
it's an interesting discussion.
if you gain 50 pounds, like people gain weight during the pandemic, to then say, I don't want to date you anymore because you gained weight. And that's the reason why, but everything else in your relationship is good according to the person who's breaking up with you. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That feels really shallow.
It does. It does. Now, I will say it depends if the weight also accompanies someone who is their entire personality shifts as a result of things too, because you will see people get like depressed, and then they won't do things you used to do together, and all these other things. Doesn't mean that you should break up with them,
Right.
but
I'm
it
just
means
talking
it might
about
be part
just
of a
straight.
larger
Yeah.
situation. But yeah, if they just gain weight and all of a sudden you don't find them attractive, but it could be that what you found physically attractive isn't there anymore.
But do you still love that person, and do you still have a solid relationship, and you still want to be with them outside of just that one aspect?
Right, and I think that's the thing to wrestle with, because can you have, if you have a healthy, loving relationship, you have a strong emotional connection to them, you have a strong intellectual connection, you have, you still have all of those things, you just don't have the level of physical attraction anymore, then that can negatively affect a relationship sometimes.
Yeah, but I wouldn't jump the gun and saying, oh, they've got a boob job or whatever,
Right.
I'm done. I think that probably, if that is something that is part of this mullet conundrum thing,
Right.
of over 6 months after, you're noticing you're feeling differently after all of these things. If you're not communicating that, you should. And then maybe that is worth looking into, of like how that's affected your relationship and your feelings towards them, to go, well, maybe this isn't working out. But I wouldn't say jumping
Right.
the gun, a week after they cut their hair or whatever the case may be, to say, I'm done. I
Yeah,
don't,
oh,
you
yeah.
look ugly. Fuck
That's
you.
true, that's true.
That's super shallow. I would say if you notice shifts in the relationship because of that, talk about it, bring it up,
No.
and then evaluate, like, am I, like, asking the question, am I being shallow about this? Or is this something like that has now in turn affected our relationship for the two of us?
Right.
And
right.
then that you have to face that.
I had a girlfriend that she was tall, very skinny, had like an A cup, like a lowercase A cup, and everything. But I thought she was absolutely beautiful, but she was very self-conscious about her breasts, and she wanted to get a boob job, and it was one of those things that she'd been saving up for. And like at that point, I was very, I mean, I was probably blunter than maybe I should have been about it. I was just like, I was like, I don't understand. Like, I think you're beautiful. I don't understand why you would want to like artificially do that. I just, where, like, why? And she was like, well, I think it's going to be good for my self-esteem. And I think at that point, I was not to the point where I realized that, it's not my job to be the sole provider of self-esteem for my partner, where I thought I was like, well, I'm not good enough to make you feel, happy with yourself. Like you need more than that. And, and everything. And I remember when we had broke up before she ended up getting the boob job. And then I remember seeing pictures of her later, and I was like, yeah, oh yeah, I still find her just as attractive. Like she's, and even if I personally, like, I don't like the feel of them, like they're not a thing that I like, but it's not
It's not your choice.
they're my choice, right? Exactly. So, and that can be my choice if I find, but it is, it is an interesting question to think about. If someone changes a part of them drastically between, with the person you meet versus the person that, that they are now, what does that do to affect your relationship?
I just think, don't jump the gun on saying, I don't like this anymore. I'm done with this, or I don't date people who look like this or have this, so I can't date you anymore.
Right.
I just don't be too quick to make that call. And then I think it's worth, honestly, bringing up to your partner before, if they're going to cut their hair, do whatever. And then after, to say, not right after, but, some time has passed, of, hey, I'm happy that you feel happy. These are some things I'm wrestling with right now. How can I address these concerns? Or it doesn't change my feelings about you, but it does make me feel this type of way. Let's discuss it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, once again, obviously communication, imagine that. But I also want people to, are you necessarily shallow if you do feel like maybe something has changed and you're trying to assess that? I don't think that makes you a shallow person, because you can have physical attraction change over time as well. So it is important, but you have to look at that in a very tactful way and a very considerate way, of the fact that you don't have a choice. You don't have the option to change what someone else decides to do, and that's not within your control, and it shouldn't be. Then there's the kind of the alternative to that, was I had another ex-girlfriend who was having self-esteem issues because she didn't feel like she was good enough for me. And
she was changing her appearance because of that.
Right. One day she was gone all day, and I couldn't reach her. And then all of a sudden she showed up and she had red hair. And before that, she had dark brown hair. So she spent something like $400 too on getting, like the cost of it. And she thought it would be a surprise for me. And I was like, wow, I really like your hair. But then
she didn't love it. It was for you, not for her.
It was completely for me. Yeah. And I was like, oh, it really looks cool. but I realized how much effort she went to just to do that because everybody, because I always joke about redheads, and she just, and because I joked on stage about redheads, and so she'd have people say things to her, not me. I wasn't telling her she needed to be a redhead, but she'd have people say things to her like, oh, well, if only you were a redhead, or they would joke like about shit like that, and it got into her head, and so she went and did that, and that was towards the end of our relationship, because I think that's when she realized that she was kind of, maybe spiraling in a way that was not good. And then I started to realize, I was like, I don't want somebody to try to change how they look for me. Like, I like her for her. I loved her for her, and I didn't want her to do that. So that was another interesting twist on that.
Yeah. I think that is an important point of when they make, when your partner makes a change to their appearance, are they doing it for you? Or are they doing it because they have the self-confidence and like the self-esteem because they want to make that change,
Right.
And you have to look at that as well of, wow, they're really confident and they really are like excited about this change. I should get on, like, I should be excited with them, like good for them,
Yeah.
versus why did you do that? What other issues are you struggling with that made you make that decision?
Right, which actually I guess could say anything. Like, obviously if it wasn't for Halloween, you'd be like, Roy, why are you doing the mullet? What is your motivation? Why did you choose a mullet? What are you trying to say with it? Like, what is it in your life that you want to try to make a statement about? But just bring it back to mullet.
Something his sister said to me last summer when we were talking about his hair is that, they both have really fine hair. So his sister obviously supports him growing out his hair because she's kind of said like it's probably the only time he's going to be able to get his hair this long ever again, because his hair is just so fine that, just he's living it up now because I don't think he's going to have another chance.
Okay.
That like, she
Is his
supports
dad bald?
it. No, but like they just like his sister has like a pixie cut too. Like they just can't keep long hair. So when she said that to me, I was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense to me of just like, he wants to grow his hair because this is probably the only shot, of why not? It makes him happy right now, and he might not be able to have it in a couple of years or maintain it. And I don't know, that definitely shifted my perspective on it.
Right. No, I can see that. But yeah, sometimes if someone does make a drastic change to how they look, it might be worth considering, why they're doing it. And trying to assess if maybe it's not, even if you still love them and you love how it looks, whatever, you also might want to consider, is there something in there like they're unhappy with, something they're trying to, make a statement about, and that would also be something to consider.
Well, think about when people go through breakups, they make drastic alterations to their appearance.
So true. Yeah.
That if you're with somebody and they're, one day they're super happy with their long hair, and the next day, without any planning, they just cut it. That might be like, oh, interesting. What's going on? When you're post breakup, you make these rash decisions of, well, fuck it, I'm going through some shit, versus like, oh, I've been thinking for months and I've been planning what I want to cut that's different. But just going from point A to point B with no planning in between of a drastic change might be a pause for concern to go, what else are you struggling with? Are you struggling in any aspects? Do you want to talk about what's going on? I don't know.
It's like there's like that TV or film cliche too, of like the woman going through a breakup and then she just shaves her head. She's just like, and then because that's it. It's a big change. And I mean, I know that my emotional state always improves when I like go through the point of trying a new color when it's starting to fade too much, and all that too. Like it's kind of sometimes a fresh new thing to do.
Yeah.
So so what are we taking away here is that I would say basically that it's okay to like, depending on the change, like it's okay to have feelings about it. Like it's okay for you to have, it's okay to have an opinion about it. It's just not okay to express that opinion in some type of mandatory way, and it's not okay to express opinion in some type of judgmental or shitty way.
Yeah, don't shame them because they made that decision and now they can't go back. Like, what good are you doing by voicing that?
Right. And that's not going to help. And if it's something really drastic, you might want to have some communication with them and talk to them to see maybe what made them decide that and everything, and support them as they discuss the journey that took them there. And over time, if you find that it's something that you just can't, like it is removed enough physical attraction for you that you don't have the relationship quality that you used to have, it's okay to to either say something or to do something about it. Like you don't have to live with, you don't have to stay with somebody that you're not
And be
attracted
miserable.
to
Yeah.
just because you feel like, oh, I'll be a bad person. No, it's okay. You want to be happy as well. And so, if someone does something so drastic and then like a month later, you're like, this is not someone that I want to be with anymore.
And they've also shifted, the way that they act, and like there's other
right.
factors.
Yeah. But I'm saying physical attraction is one important aspect of a multitude of different types of attractions. And if that has dissipated for you, then over time, and you're realizing it's not something you're going to get used to, it's not something you're going to end up being okay with. I don't think it makes you a bad person to decide to move on either.
Yeah, it's tough.
But it is. That's why it is tough.
The conundrum.
The conundrum. The mullet conundrum. The face tat enigma. The boob job quandary. I mean,
oh God.
So
okay. Okay. Well, if you think it should be called something other than whatever the fuck Adam just listed off, or the mullet conundrum, please let us know by calling our DKS hotline at 407-519-0181.
And if you haven't watched us on YouTube, you should go ahead and check us out. YouTube.com/dating kinda sucks. You can also visit us on social media on Instagram at dating kinda sucks.
Because we're super active on there.
You can fuck Instagram. Hold on. I'm just gonna say for a second.
Oh boy. Oh God.
I'm just saying. I miss when Instagram was about cool photos. Like it is insane now that I go through my Instagram and 90% of it are reels that I have no interest in watching. And I liked seeing people's like photos of different things and their artistic photos. And I followed a lot of photographers, but now even they are doing reels, and it really drives me crazy. So, fuck Instagram. But you can visit us at Dating Kinda Sucks.
Yeah, but you can visit us on our Instagram. Okay. You can also shoot us an email at datingkindasuckspodcast@gmail.com. If you prefer to watch videos, because we're super active on TikTok, you can follow Adam at Adam Heath or my TikTok, which is simply Sarah G _.
And if you'd like to support us and watch our bonus videos that we do after every third episode, then I would say it's after every third episode.
That's fair. Yeah.
You can watch our Patreon. You can support us on Patreon for just $5 a month. Your support helps quite a bit. It helps us maintain everything that we do here. And that's at patreon.com/DKS podcast. And of course, if you are listening on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, we would love a 5-star rating and review. We, I think a lot of our listeners have stayed with us over the times have reviewed now, but we'd love for some fresh reviews on there. So if you are a new listener, please go give us a 5-star rating and a review. It'd be very helpful. And on Spotify, I think you can do
you can follow us and
and there's like a rating as well that you can do there too.
Oh yeah, which we need to improve those ratings. So please rate us on there. And we haven't mentioned it for a while, but our Facebook group is still alive and well. You can join that at facebook.com/groups/DKS podcast.
That's right. And we will be back in 2 weeks with a brand new episode about some topic that we will figure out.
Conundrum.
Another conundrum. Yes, whatever topic we're going to find out will be a conundrum. But we'll be back in 2 weeks with a brand new episode.
Until next time.
Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we get no luck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yuck, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are two of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers they pluck. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.